Republicans marked the birth of their conservative revolution to be the first full-scale run by Ronald Reagan for the presidential nomination in 1976. Since then, a Republican has always attracted the largest amount of campaign donations, a measure of voter enthusiasm that often brought victory. But the 2008 campaign is showing signs that the conservative cash machine, along with conservative enthusiasm, may be running low. Our fourth story on the countdown, the Bush fatigue. Is it behind a tectonic shift in the politics of money? Although the Republican Party still has larger cash reserves, individual Democratic candidates are now raising more, nearly $80 million in the first quarter of the year compared to the Republicans' expected $50 million, a sizable difference and a stark reversal of campaign fortunes so far. Individually, Mitt Romney accumulated the most cash of any Republican, keeping personal pace with Democrats Clinton and Obama. But Romney's war chest comes from a small Mormon base and a $2.3 million loan to himself. All this setting off alarm bells in a party still reeling from defeat in the midterms. Alarm bells that are music to the ears of Air America Radio's Rachel Maddow. Rachel, good evening.
Hi, Keith. Nice to see you.
This is only the first round of fundraising for the primaries, but does the GOP have reason to be running scared? Is it Bush fatigue? Is it war fatigue? Angry Democrats sensing blood? Lack of an obvious Republican frontrunner, or what?
Well, I think that it's early days for there to be any wholesale Republican soul-searching at this point. If numbers for first quarter fundraising were really predictive, then the idea of President Phil Gramm would be more than just a Halloween costume. I mean, the political history is littered with people who did very well, for example, in first quarter fundraising and then didn't go on to win. And so I don't think that there's any reason that the Republican Party should be panicking at this point. But if I were a Republican strategist, I think I would feel pretty comfortable concluding at this point that Republicans are not going to have their traditional cash advantage. A $30 million split between Republican and Democratic candidates in favor of the Democrats is unheard of in modern political history, and they can't count on that advantage anymore.
Is there any way to measure or even reliably estimate what percentage of that fundraising lead could be attributed to the middle ground, to the people who really have looked at the world not through any kind of tinted glasses or angle, but are supporting Democrats not because they're Democrats, because they were truly disturbed by, say, the president's dismissal of Congress or the war or what are ultimately nonpartisan issues?
Well, again, I think it's early to be able to very tightly parse why it is that people are donating the way they are, when they are, and to whom. But when you just talk about the broad strokes and what we know thus far in early days, what we can say is that there aren't a lot of people rushing for their pocketbooks because they want to donate in support of the way that President Bush has governed. $30 million more being raised by Democrats than Republicans says to me that until the Republicans find a candidate who they can really get unequivocally enthused about, they can't count on enthusiasm for how Bush and Cheney have governed to be something that drives donations. Republican donors, it seems to me, are sitting on their hands. They are not enthused about what they've got to donate to right now, and that must be a legacy of the way that Bush has governed. And I think that may be what's continuing to drive the Republicans to ask for more people to get into the race. They haven't found their perfect candidate yet.
Now, maybe this is the guy. The New York Sun reported that Dick Cheney has been using the same line lately when he gets applause at a speech in front of Republicans. He's been saying, a reception like that is almost enough to make you run for office again. Is that the way to fire up the Republican donation base or the Democratic donation base, perhaps?
Yeah, more likely the Democratic base, I would guess. There are Democratic fundraisers across the country who are wetting themselves with excitement about that prospect. There's really not much else that you could imagine the Republicans saying other than we want President Cheney to really get Democratic coffers filled. So let it be true. Let him be their nominee. It would be a great day for liberals.
A devil's advocate question. Is it discouraging to see liberals excited about fundraising as opposed to pushing fundraising reform?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's almost weird to see Democrats and liberals excited about being able to afford a really expensive candidate this year instead of working to try to get into a new system where we express our political preferences with our votes rather than with our credit cards. Barack Obama has made some very aggressive, positive noises about public financing of elections and wanting to get out of this system where they're constantly fundraising. But then, you know, he also raised $25 million in 50 days in order to be competitive in this race. So,
It's something that can always be done in the future. Rachel Maddow, the host of the Rachel Maddow Show on Air America, as always. Great thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Keith.